Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is 10:05, February 16th, 2026. I trust that you all had an absolutely fantastic and amazing Valentine's Day. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. We had a good time. We had a great weekend. Weather here in Austin, Texas is delightful. This weekend reminded me on why I love living in Austin, Texas. Although it was raining. What was it? Saturday it was raining, but yesterday was just fantastic. I love the weather yesterday. Y'all, we've got lots to go over. Traffic today was amazing because everyone is celebrating President's Day, but we're not, which is good. It is so good to see you all. We've got lots to go over this morning. Let me ask you this first. Do you want me to go over the new resource that I published on Saturday first, or would you rather update the new listing to pending ratio first? The first person who responds over chat wins. New listing to pending ratio or the new resource that I published on Saturday. Not everyone at once. Someone just go ahead and respond over chat. Okay, we're going to go for the new resource. Thank you, Melanie Price. This new resource was prompted from an X post that I saw where someone was discussing which price range is experiencing the largest price drop. So what's the pricing pressure within the price range? And it was like, easy. We've got access to the raw data. I can whip up a spreadsheet here really quick. Went ahead and did that. And I was like, well, you know what? I like this. And we do have the price range with the square footage and the price range. I mean, we've got a ton of stuff. And I was like, it would really be nice just to have one page where I can just see the price range. And then a lot of the other data that we already track a lot of this information. But I just want the price range and then the activity index, the absorption ratio, the months of inventory, and then the median price cut, the median percentage cut, and then the percentage of active with a price cut, and then the median days on the market. I just want one snapshot. You know me, I love data, and it's 2026, so I'm no longer constrained with holding new resources. Right at about April, May or so, I'm like, okay, this is getting out of control. I need to stop. But it's only February 16th, so I've got until April and May just to overwhelm you all with a bunch of new resources. Something really interesting popped up whenever I put this together. I would have never guessed that the best performing price range in the entire MLS is the $1 to $1 million price range. You get up to the 1.1 to 1.2, it just slows down. But for some reason, people are going after that 1 to 1.1. I think it's because they want to tell everyone, I just bought $1 million house. They don't want to buy a $1.2 million house. That's over their budget. They don't want to buy a 1.10001. That's over budget. But we don't want to buy a $999,000 property because then you can't tell your friends that you live in $1 million property. You want to go from 1 to 1.1. And that is amazing because not only does it have 122 active, which is less than the 1.1 to 1.2, less than the 9 to 1. I mean, it's not that many, 122, which is crazy. Look at the activity index, 29.5. Best activity index is the 1 to 1.1. Look at the absorption ratio. That's also the best. Look at the months of inventory. Yeah, guess what? That's also the best. Look at the price drop, the median percentage cut. Yeah, that's also the best. Look at the percentage of properties that had a price cut. 47, not the best. We have to get down to the 1.7, 1.8. That's better. People are holding on. Higher percentage median cut, but not as many active or cutting the price. Look at the median days on the market, 74. Not bad. Not bad at all. Really interesting just to be able to just look at everything within one chart. Now, the cool thing is that because it's the weekend and I don't have any meetings over the weekend and I've got all the time in the world, yes, we already went ahead and made this available for all of the cities and all of the zip codes. And I posted this on our internal Facebook group. Take a look at Dripping Springs. I went ahead and created a specific page for Dripping Springs. It'll take me a few weeks to create one specific page for each city and zip code. That requires a lot more. It's a lot more laborious, but it'll take you to the resource. But I do want to create a page, makes our website rank a lot better. So there we go. Take a look at Dripping Springs. Anything interesting? Anything fascinating about this? Y'all, take a look. You go over 1.5 in Dripping Springs and nothing is going on. Dead. Not a single pending property. As a matter of fact, over $1.2 million in Dripping Springs, there are only 2 pending properties. Over $1 million, there's 5. There's only 5 pending properties over $1 million. Is this helpful when you're going to a listing presentation? You better believe it is. Is it helpful with buyers? Do you think that some of these buyers have way more negotiation power? Absolutely. Of course they do. They have way more negotiation power. So really exciting just to have this. And on top of that, we went ahead, let me go to the home page. We went ahead and updated the data and analysis report. So now when you go to your listing presentation, this is already a part of it. Right there, second page. Already a part of it. Ready to go. It all syncs, all uploads. And by the way, y'all, this is not easy to accomplish. It requires a lot of recoding on everything that needs to happen on the back end to splice these reports, merge the PDF. But I am so passionate about arming ourselves with the necessary resources for us to be the absolute best that we can possibly be. Whenever we're going to these listing presentations, whenever we're going to these buyer presentations, because take a look at 2-1. We always say real estate is hyperlocal, and it's not only hyperlocal to the geographic area, but also to the price point. You've got a client looking at the 4 to 450 in 2-1, 3 available, 3 pending. You've got a 1.8 months of inventory. Now, you go to the 5 to 550, you've got 16 months of inventory. But you go to the 4 to 450, you've got a 50% activity index. Out of everything that could be under contract, half of it is under contract. Crazy hot price range within this specific zip code. Crazy low inventory. And y'all, take a look at some of these price drops. 36%, 20, 35, 13. Insane. Median price cut. Look at that, $175,000 and activity index is 0. Crazy what's happening right there. So really excited to have this additional resource available for all of us. You can find this not only on Insight and Statistics, scroll down, pricing pressure matrix. I also decided to add this to the active residential inventory as one of the pages. So right after we talk about active listings and we talk about price drops, 48%, 48.6% had a price drop, immediately goes down and gives us the inventory absorption, price reduction, days on the market by price tier. I felt like that was a really good place for us to add this. Now, this one right here is for the entire MLS. And then if you want something that is specific to your zip code, you can either go straight to the data and analysis, pick out your zip code, or you can go to Insight and Statistics, scroll down, and then you can pick the city, you can pick the zip code, and just do whatever you want with it. It'll just open up right there, and it'll give you the information. Good stuff. Can you show me Spicewood on the same chart? Let's take a look really quick on Spicewood. And here's Spicewood, and take a look at the Spicewood area. Things dramatically slow down after the 1.1 million. Now on Spicewood, I'm not breaking it down based on $50,000. I have to do $100,000 because you've got so many properties that are overpriced. If I did 50,000, then it would show 90 properties over 1.1 million. So I separate that between $100,000 increment. I do that with a few different zip codes. Of course, 7746, we have to do that 31. We don't do that to 32. We do that to 30. So there's some zip codes that I'll do $100,000. Can you clarify the difference between activity index and absorption rate? Yes, activity index pending divided by active plus pending. Absorption rate, you've got active divided by sold. Absorption rate, active divided by sold. So that's just, you've got the comparison between what is active on the market and what is absorbed through pending as opposed to what's active on the market based on what's sold. So that's going to be the difference between the two. And we do have a absorption ratio resource right here. So if you go to absorption rate and you've got right there, it's actually, I inverted it. Sold divided by active, number of sold divided by active. I said active divided by sold. That's going to be months of inventory. It's going to be the sold divided by the active. That's going to be the absorption rate. So really excited. And once again, you all, out of all the resources that we publish, which a lot, it's the goal behind this. It's if you ever need it, it's available, right? It's like your kitchen drawer, your utensil drawer in your kitchen. Anyone here is like my utensil drawer in the kitchen where you open it up and it's like, you've got 1,000 things inside and you use the 3 things 90% of the time, but then once a year you need a turkey baster, but it's there, but you're glad it's there because once a year you need it and you're just glad that it's there. It's the same thing with these stats. A lot of information, a lot of stuff. 90% of your use, it's going to be like the same 5 stats, and that's great. But maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, you're going to have the conversation with that one client or that unique listing or that unique situation, or you need to convey that one thing. Now you've got access to it. That right there is why we put together this information. So what is the 90%? The 90% has to be your daily briefing. You have to look at this on a daily basis. Every single day, a part of your kickstarting the day is just to browse through the daily briefing just to see what's happening with inventory, what's happening with price drops, what's happening year over year, what's happening with absorption. That has to be your daily routine. That's number 1. Number 2, it's going to be wherever you have a buyer looking and wherever you've got a listing coming up, you've got to take a look at the data and analysis. You've got to drill down within that specific zip code, and within 3 clicks, you've got access to all the information that you need for that zip code. You've got your snapshot of active. Now you've got this additional resource showing the price tier. You've got the breakdown based on percentile, 30 years sold change year over year. You've got your square footage, your price tier, active, activity index, days on the market, months of inventory, what's sold. And then, of course, you've got your 25-year market appreciation that you can then go and meet with your listing, meet with your buyer, and just have a really good discussion with them. That's going to be your 90% of your time you're going to focus within these resources. I do recommend looking at the new listing to pending ratio, the market cycle. I mean, we've got an obscene amount of information, but 90% of the time you're going to be focused on those 3 reports. Now, when you need another report, just know that it's there. And there are a few other things that I am playing around with. As a matter of fact, I responded here a few hours ago. This is Mike Simonson. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's like the chief economist for Compass out of New York, I believe. And I do follow him. He posts some really good information there. And he posted this really interesting graph, and it was immediate sales. Fewer immediate sales indicate weaker demand, fewer bidding wars. Homes going under contract within 7 days of listing. And once again, I looked at this like, that's a really interesting data point. I like that. I like being able to compare, well, how many homes are selling after being in the market for 7 days? And how does that compare to right now? I've never polled that, but we've got the data. I mean, I've got over 1.3 million lines on the database that I keep of every single property that's sold. So I can really, really quickly put this information together and take a look at our area. This was really fascinating. Really fascinating. Last year, 4,643 properties sold in less than 7 days. We peaked at 15,387. The interesting thing is that we are still over the 2011 to 2019. We're still over that, which is really interesting. And he even asked that question. He's like, hey, fascinating. And he's like, it's still so much higher than pre-pandemic. I wonder if that's a permanent shift, perhaps tech-driven. My response is, I'd say it more has to do with listing distribution, MLS syndication, alerts, push notification, whether it's, Compass, Zillow, Redfin. Buyer drip systems are a lot better now compared to 2019. Buyer and agents react instantly. That absolutely reduces time on the market for top listings. That, because it's not new construction, I pulled the data, it's not new construction. I would say it has more to do with the improvement in the way that people receive ASAP listings. They know what they're looking for, and they have access to the top listings at a lot faster rate. Agents have gotten better. The agents that are listing their properties perfectly right off the bat, it's priced well, amazing pictures, amazing marketing. The syndication is a lot broader now than it was back in 2019. I know that for a fact. 7 years, a lot has changed in the past 7 years. So that's my analysis based on this. But I thought this was a really interesting way to use the data that we already have and extract insight into what's happening within the market. So I really appreciate having access to this data. So publishing a lot of information here, really excited with what we have available for you all. I post this daily. If you're ever interested in wondering, hey, what's happening on a daily standpoint with the market, I publish this daily. So go ahead and follow us on X, and I'm always posting unique information it's not that I don't make it available to the broader team. It's just I certainly don't want to overwhelm you more with information. I do like using X as a platform just to sprinkle some additional insight into the market. So if you do have an X account, go ahead and follow us on that and interact with the data. Really always excited just to communicate the reality of the data to the public and, of course, to you all. Any questions about this new resource that we published? Any questions? Questions, comments, concerns? Helpful, by the way. Any feedback? Do y'all feel like this is helpful? Good just to add this information into the zip code and city report. Okay, good stuff. Good feedback from you all. Super, super appreciate it. Good stuff. All right, you all. Let us go ahead and start with our move to our new listing to pending ratio. Single best leading market indicator available. I want to give you a quick reminder. We do publish this video online on YouTube, on X. So this is available not only for Team Price agents, but the general consumer. So we do get new people that join in and listen to this analysis. So I want to give a really brief overview on what this ratio is, why is it important, why is it so helpful for us in the business. Very simple, and oftentimes the most effective things are really the simplest things, and this is very simple. We simply take everything that is new on the market plus everything that is back on the market, and we divide it by everything that went active, under contract, and pending. We get this nice little ratio, 0.68. What a 0.68 ratio means is that out of 100 properties that came on the market, the inflow, 68, so 0.68 of that, which would be 68, went under contract. A ratio of 1 is what we call that perfect market equilibrium. Inventory neither goes up nor goes down. 100 properties come into the market. At the same time, 100 properties gets absorbed by the market. If you have a ratio over 1, in this case, let's take a look at the 1.31, that means that 100 properties came into the market and 131 properties were absorbed by the market. So inventory actually goes down because you're taking from the existing pool of inventory out there. And then we've got this little red dot. The red dot means that we underperformed exactly the same week last year. And you can see that was the case right here. The ratio 0.68 versus 0.84, same exact week last year. This difference is simply the number of listings plus or minus. So if it's a 0.68, that means that we had 396 additional new listings compared to what was absorbed. So that's the background on that. Every week we update all of this information, but we do have to go backwards in time a little bit, and we have to update the pending for the past few weeks, because we all know that builders and agents tend to be really bad when it comes to updating pending. So this number goes from 426 to 435. 435. Let me see if the active under contract changes. This is 506. It does change, 506. Then we're going to go back from the 26th to the 2nd. That's going to be 417, 19 through the 26th. That's going to be 460. 12th through the 19th. That's going to be 434. 5th through the 12th, that's going to be 425. I'm going to go a few more weeks to make sure that everything is good to go. This is going to be 326, and this is going to be 264. So it is all updated. Now we can start updating this week. Tomorrow morning, I will update this again, because tomorrow morning, the price increase, the price drop, the back on the market locks in. It'll never change ever, ever, ever again. Active under contract and pending will go up. But let's take a look at the new listing so far. And we are, oh wow, interesting, 1053. We're at 1,053 new listings. Price increase, we're at 232. Price decrease, we're at 1401, 86%. So out of anything and everything that could go down in price, what percentage? Out of everything that, we're looking at price movement. Out of everything that went up in value and went down in value, what percentage went down in value? That's 86%. Back on the market, we're looking, wow, that number dropped, 138. Interesting, 13% back on the market. That's going to be the lowest number. We've got a 14. That's the lowest number since April, 13% back on the market. The interesting thing about 13% back on the market, it actually means that sellers are more willing to negotiate on price. They want to keep the deal together. Buyers, of course, are taking a little bit longer to put things under contract. They're looking at more homes before putting something under contract, so they're not making impulsive decisions that they will then regret. Let's take a look at active under contract. We are at 392 active under contract. And now you know the drill. I haven't even clicked on the number. This is where you get to guess. I need 5 guesses on how many properties went pending. Keep in mind that we always enter Monday with a lower number. So don't be guessing 420 because it's going to take a while for agents to update all those listings. Melanie's starting us off at 235. Okay, good stuff. Melanie, we got 180. We've got 210. We've got 199. We've got 222. Okay, good stuff. Let's go ahead and update the entire field. We've got, oh, wow. Okay. We've got, let's see, Seth came in the closest. 202. I'm speechless. 202. 202. Well, I know why. It's because of the winter storm. Oh, no, it's because rates went down. Wow, y'all, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that, especially when we look at rates that are, granted, this happened Friday, but we're looking at 5.875 conventional 30-year. We're looking at 5.75 for FHA. There is a holding pattern going on. This really confirms what we spoke about 2 weeks ago during our Friday meeting on what's happening with the psychology of buyers right now. It's a low number. 202 is a low number. You are right, Melanie. Last week we did start off in the 0.4 range. You're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, let me pull up to see exactly where we started off last week. I'm going to go to the email recap that I sent you. And we were last week, just give me a second so that this can pull up. Last week, we were at 0.48. 0.48 last week. Last week, it went from 0.48 to 0.63. That's where it went, 0.48 to 0.6, actually to 0.69. It went from 0.63 to 0.68. So a little bit on the low side of things. I'm slightly disappointed with a 0.50 number. So we might get to the 0.7. Yeah, we'll get to the 0.7. We'll get to the 0.7 right here on this one. We are not going to get to the 0.7 from January 26. I'd say this week we'll get into the 0.7. 0.69, 0.7. Lower than, of course, the same week last year with a better rate environment, which is really interesting. Let's take a look at the year-over-year comparison. Year over year, we are already outperforming the same week last year on the number of new listings. And you can expect another 50 new listings coming on the market between now and 11:59 p.m. tonight. You can absolutely expect that. So if I take this number and I go 50, we're going to be, or I'm going to go more like 73. We're going to be 7%, roughly 7% higher on the number of new listings entering the market this week compared to the same week last year. We are noticing more price increases, which is really interesting. Builders are doing that. Builders are just pumping up the price increase. More price drops, 76, less back on the market. And we already have a 2.2% increase in the number of new. We're going to have 3 weeks in a row now where the number of pending is underperforming last year, and it's going to be double digit this week. We're at negative 39.9, and we are going to be double digit. And you can see the ratio down 18.9, down 16.7. We're going to be in the 20s. We're going to be down about 20% or so on that ratio. That's going to be down a good 20% when you look at the new listing to pending ratio. Let's update the monthly information here really quick, you all. We're going to go we're going to go back January, and we're going to click on active under contract. That's going to be 1607. That doesn't change. We're going to click on pending. That's going to be 1544. And now we're going to update the entire month. We are 16 days into the month, so we do have enough data to see how the month is going to end. Last year, February last year, we ended at a 0.75 ratio. Last month, we outperformed January of 2025 because the number of new listings went down. January 2025, 3827. January 2006, 3633. So we had less new listings entering the market. And then January, total 3124. January, 3151. So we had more properties go pending in the month of January, but less properties entering the market. That's why the ratio went up from a 0.69 to a 0.73. Now, let's take a look at new listings. We're at 2159. We are underperforming last year on the number of new listings entering the market. That is one thing that we're tracking on a daily basis. If you ever want the daily snapshot of new listings, then you've got to go to X on that. We are down 2.1%. So as of this morning, we're underperforming last year on the number of new listings by 138, but we're underperforming last year on the number of pending at 460. Let's take a look at price increase. We're at 421. Let's take a look at price decrease. We're at 2611. 86%, slightly higher than last month. Back on the market, we're at 322, 15% back on the market. This matches February 2025. Active under contract, 882. And then this is going to give us the ratio so far this month. Wow, 630. 0.61. We're at a 0.61 ratio into the month of February. So yeah, we're not going to outperform February of last year at 0.75. We're going to underperform. It'll be over 0.7. It'll be between 0.7, 0.72. It's 16 days into the month. We do have enough information. The hope is that because rates went down by so much on Friday, that we'll actually see an increase in pending that we didn't see the first 16 days of February. It'll just be a bump up, and we'll make up that ratio between now and the end of February. Is this a 29-day or a 28-day? Let me take a look at it. This is a 28 days, so we only have 12 days left. Only 12 days left in February. That's going to put added pressure on that ratio. We don't have enough days left in February. Let's take a look at withdrawn. So far, 279. And so far expired, 152 expired. Let me go ahead and save this information. Open up the sheet on a different computer here so that I can publish this as a PDF so that you can get access to it pretty much immediately. So give me 1 second so that I can open this up and publish this for you. and then we can go over a few more things for you. So we're going to publish this as a PDF. It just takes me a few seconds to convert all this information to a PDF, and then you have access to absolutely everything. Give me 1 second here. And now that I've published this, I can upload it to our site, and that's going to take just a few seconds. So now when you click on Insight and Statistics and you click on New Listing to Pending Ratio, you're going to see that this is the latest and greatest. So we've already updated. We just got done updating all this information, and now you've got access to absolutely everything. This is a really interesting one. Let me, as a matter of fact, open up the entire PDF so that you can see it in your entire screen. This is a really interesting one because this right here was this week in 2021. That was this week in 2021. And that was this same week in 2021 was, and this is going to be week 7. Week 7, 2021, the ratio was 1.86. This is week 7. From 1.86 to where we are right now at a 0.50. Let's just say that we end at 0.7. That is amazing. Really, really incredible. This is 1.49. This was week 8 of 2022. And then we had a really big drop in 2022 into 2023. This is January. So January 2023 was 1.1. So this is January 2000. This is the same week right there. So we went here all the way down here. That's that one ratio. Really interesting just to look at the historical going all the way back to when we've been updating this on a weekly basis. But isn't it interesting that this is week 7 of 2021, the highest new listing to pending ratio weekly on record at 1.86. Really interesting to look at it this way. So that is the new listing to pending ratio, you all. Any questions? Does anyone here have any questions about this? Let's keep on looking at some of this. We've got, I like this one. Here's the monthly. There's the monthly ratio, but I do like this chart. There's the 0.61 that we have here so far. It's a 19% decrease in the ratio year over year for the month of February. Active listings are now officially up. We've got 11,242 active listings in the 6-county area. So we're already up on the active. And let's keep on going. I want to show you. Let's take a look at, do we have anything else we want to look at? Let's look at the yearly really quick. Yearly, we're at a 0.69 ratio for the year. January and February, when we look at all the new listings and look at everything that went under contract, we're at a 0.69 ratio for the entire year. So that's where we are for the entire year. We were flat 2022-23 at a 0.83, down to 0.80, down to 0.74. And so far this year, we're at a 0.69. Today, there are 13,333 active listings in the entire MLS. That's going to be an increase of 12%. 3,895 pending, increase of 2.4. That's the good news is that on the pending side, and this is a snapshot. This is where I take the number of pending listings today and I compare it to the same exact day last year. You can see that we are starting to see a pretty decent uptick on the number of active listings. We were flat, and then we're now going up. nice, decent uptick on the number of active listings. 48.6% of the active listings have had a price drop. There's that 12%. You can see that uptick right there. Last year, it was a pretty steady increase, and then mid-March, we really started going up. Right now, we're noticing a little bit of an uptick. Now, we were flat compared to last year, but now we started noticing this uptick in new listings, and that started the second week of February. Pending listings, good news. We are up 2.4% compared to last year. We have 3,895 pending listings right now. This same day last year, 3,804. Cumulative pending, January and February. February, we got 12 days left. This number's going to go up. No worries on that quite yet. We just like to update it, but this number's going to go up. Activity index, because we're noticing an increase in the number of active listings. Activity index is starting to fall flat a little bit. We're just going to keep really close eye on the activity index. We are over 20% on resale, which is really good news. Some zip codes are killing it. I need to change this. This is supposed to be 0. And it's not supposed to be green, so I will update this. There's nothing pending in Florence. So that's supposed to be a 0, not that symbol. For some reason, that symbol is causing it to go to the top. It's supposed to be on the bottom. I'll fix that. 78750 now takes the reign as the number 1 zip code for the activity index at 43.04%. There's the monthly new listing to pending ratio at a 0.60. So far, when you subtract new listings versus pending, we have a positive difference of 1,144 on the plus. Very close to last year, this time last year at 1231. Months of inventory ticking up because, of course, we've got more active. And we're noticing a compression on sold based on what went under contract last month. So we're looking at an annual increase of 14.3% on months of inventory. We're at 4.75 right now. Number 1 zip code, 78728 at 1.55 months of inventory. Year over year, Austin is down 3.4%. Compared to the past 2 years, we're up 9.5%. We are forecasting a decrease on the number of sold properties compared to the same month last year. February of last year, 1,995 properties closed. We are forecasting just shy of 1,800 based on what went pending, based on the back on the market and all of the metrics that we track. We are not expecting to overperform last year on the number of sold properties. Cumulative sold, this is including the forecast, January and February, 3433. And when you adjust it for 100,000 people, 129. 129 sold properties per 100,000 people. Per 1,000 realtors, we're at 195. A slight decrease from last year, 206, so a 5.1% decrease. What about pricing? Pricing's doing very well. Median sold price up 9.2%. Average sold price, and that's month over month, up 5.1%. On the pricing side of things, we continue to see that bifurcated market that we've been talking about, where the top 25th percentile is up 2.5% year over year. The bottom 25th percentile is down for, 0.8% year over year. So far, we've got 6 cities are up in price and 24 cities are down in price. So if we were to rank the market, or let's look at the absorption ratio first, sold divided by active, we're at 14.96%. This is for the month of January. February will not be updated until the last 5 days of February. Then we're going to have enough data to update February. So right now we're looking at January, 15% absorption rate. And if we were to rank the market, this is for January, between 0 and 10, 0 meaning you have no market, you're going to starve to death. And only 1 month reached a 0, and that was January 2009, all the way to 10, meaning it's the hottest market the world will ever see. We are at 3.21 for the month of January. What we're looking for here is we need to outperform the same month last year for 4 months in a row, and that will show us a market recovery. So we have not reached that yet. This is what we're looking for. We need to outperform the same month last year 4 months in a row. It's got to be sustained. It's not a one-off. As soon as we do that, it's like, there we go. We are on the road to recovery. That's what this information, that's the insight that this information gives us. Any questions, you all? You can see behind me that we don't have any activity in the bond market because today is a holiday. But this is going to be a critical week for rates. A lot of real estate data coming out, a lot of information. Tomorrow morning at 0900 hours, we have the National Association of Home Builders Housing Market Index. There are 3 data points for that index. The only data point that I personally care about is the home buyer traffic walkthrough. That information is going to be published inside the MBA Purchase Index. This is going to be the last 2 pages. Traffic of prospective buyers. That is the only information that I care about. Last time, we noticed a 28.1% drop in the month of January from 32, 2025 down to 23. This information is going to be available tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I will email you the second this information is available because this is a great leading market indicator. We've got a few bond auctions. We've got building permit data. We've got mortgage data. We've got housing starts. All of this will be released on Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be a big manufacturing day. Employment, more bond auctions. On Thursday, we're looking at a few more real estate data points. You've got pending home sales, Consumer Board Leading Index, more bond auctions. The big one, though, is going to be on Friday. Friday, we're going to have inflation data, personal consumption expenditure, new home sales, GDP, a lot of information. We've got consumer sentiment, consumer expectation, current condition, more building permit. They're updating all the information that was not available during the shutdown. We do have a temporary shutdown going on right now. If you are flying like I am Wednesday morning, a friend of mine texted me saying, hey, you've got a flight in the morning. You better get there 3 hours before. She said, we missed our flight. And this was the day of the shutdown. Like, you cannot imagine how much of a mess the airport is. Took them 3 hours to get through TSA pre-check, and they missed their flight. So we do have a temporary shutdown going on right now. That's not going to impact all the information that's supposed to be released. This is going to be a huge week for rates. You can see behind me that last week was fantastic. We ended on Friday with a 5.875 conventional 30-year, which is just amazing. And this is going to be a very critical week to see if we can increase that gain, maybe pull back even a little bit down to the 5.75, or if we get bad inflation numbers, we could see all of that gain just erased back into the 6s. My hope is that we will stay under 6. That will cause an increase in buyer demand. That'll cause the pending numbers to go up, therefore improving the new listing to pending ratio. When all of these numbers improve, it just causes everything to go up. But that's why we update this information on a daily basis so that we can rely on real information every single day so that we can empower our clients. Any questions you all